Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:30 PM and a quorum of members is present. The meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby?
Here.
Mr. Helmer? Ms. Connick?
Here.
Ms. Schultz?
Here.
Mr. Seidel?
Here.
Ms. Spindler?
Here.
Mr. Zelinski?
Here.
Mr. Helmer let me know he probably wasn't going to be able to attend this evening. So then I would entertain a motion to recess to closed session.
I move to adjourn into closed session pursuant to section 19.85, 1C, E, and F of the Wisconsin statutes to consider A, the approval of closed session minutes of February 9th, and B, employment, performance, and compensation matters pertaining to staff.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Crosby and a second by Mr. Zelinski. Please call the roll.
Ms. Crosby?
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski?
Yes.
Ms. Connick?
Yes.
Ms. Schultz?
Yes.
Mr. Seidel?
Yes.
Ms. Spindler?
Yes.
We're moving to closed session, return to open session around 7 o'clock. It is now 7:08 PM and we're returning from closed session into open session. In recognition of the serious and important nature of our efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. For all those who are able, please rise. And now for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by providing the agenda to the city library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal Sentinel and the Waukesha Freeman, all of which have filed requests for all public notices. Do we have anybody for privilege of the floor this evening?
No.
Okay. I do not have any messages or announcements, so we'll move on to administrative team report.
Yeah, so a couple updates. First of all, we have a digital newsletter called The Edge, and we have almost 7,000 subscribers to that digital that digital update. We do have a mid-year newsletter, a print mid-year newsletter coming out. We do 2 a year. One we do that's typically sent out in September. And then we have a mid-year newsletter coming out here actually in the next few weeks. One of the updates that we'll be providing in that newsletter that we shared in the Edge I believe it was last week, was that Weston Eisenhower among AP Honor Roll Elite. So launched in 2023, the Advanced Placement Scholarship or School Honor Roll recognizes schools where AP programs are both delivering results for students and broadening access. This annual recognition is based on criteria that reflect a commitment to increasing college-going culture, providing opportunities for students to earn college credit, and optimizing college readiness. The announcement of the 2025 Honor Roll put the School District of New Berlin in a class by itself. West was one of only 3 traditional public high schools in Wisconsin to reach platinum status, with Eisenhower was one of only 11 traditional public high schools to receive gold honors. Among Waukesha County schools, West and Eisenhower are among only 4 high schools to achieve gold or better, which also includes Arrowhead and Brookfield East, as noted. I'm sorry that I'm having difficulty. I can't see this very small print. Only 8% of the more than 16,000 eligible schools in the U.S. and Canada earned platinum, the highest level, and only 7% get gold. Research shows students who take AP courses and exams are more likely to attend college and graduate on time. The students who enter 4-year colleges with credit from AP accelerated their path for graduation and build confidence for college success. So congratulations to Eisenhower, to West, earning that platinum status, and of course, Eisenhower getting the gold. Last year, both attained the gold, and again, that was quite the accomplishment last year. And again, last year, the only other 2 gold-achieving high schools were Brookfield East and Brookfield Central. So certainly, and again, I just want to remind you that, yes, we're recognizing Eisenhower and West tonight, but note that our 4 elementary schools play a crucial part in establishing the foundation for when those kids get up to that level of success. So thank you very much. At that time, I'll hand it over to Oliver.
Even though we just got a taste of summer, school's not over yet, and students at West are pushing through in class, clubs, and sports. Choir students had their annual Spring Valentine on Friday before Valentine's Day, where for $5 you could nominate another student to be sung for in front of class. Along with choir, Orchestra String Fest was held in New Berlin West Fieldhouse. This allowed all grades 5 through 12 to collaborate and create a concert for parents later that night. Spanish 5 students are reading a book about the gang MS-13 in Los Angeles and how it has shaped many aspects of Latino culture in the United States and in Latin America. And students in anatomy and physiology dissected pig kidneys to see how kidneys work and how they filter blood in the body. Clubs have also been thriving at our school. NHS hosted a blood drive where over 100 units of blood were donated through the Red Cross. Donors got a pint of Culver's ice cream, a $20 gift card, and a flashlight. Members of DECA are going to state this week in Lake Geneva, where they will be competing at the Grand Geneva for a chance to become state finishers and international qualifiers. Headspace made bracelets for Valentine's Day, including heart-themed charms and relaxing music. As sports seasons are ending, our athletes are coming and competing at the highest levels. Both boys and girls basketball teams are going to the regional round of playoffs this week, hoping for dominant wins to continue their seasons. The United Wrestling team is sending 5 girls and 3 boys to the state wrestling tournament in Madison this week. And this past weekend, 9 New Berlin swimmers made their way to Waukesha West for the Division II state swimming meet, where their swimming and diving will be put to the test. Our very own Palms team went to nationals last week and placed 12th in the nation for small varsity hip hop. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we have our district reports. It looks like out of the list, we only have an enrollment report and a suspension report. So lucky you, Mr. Seidel, there is no donation report to read this evening. Yeah. So then the consent agenda, onto that, which includes the notice, the approval of the minutes of the board meeting of February 9th, approval of the minutes of the board meeting of February 9th work session, and the financial reports. Are there any items that should be pulled out for separate consideration? Then hearing none, do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Ms. Connick to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Then hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. On to our regular agenda. So we're going to have 4 public hearings to request an alteration to the school district boundaries. And so we will take each one at a time, the hearing, and then once all the hearing portion is completed, then we will move on to the voting. So I just have to read some things here to make sure that we're not missing anything. Before taking testimony, I would like to review the rules applicable to this and the remaining hearings. These are informal hearings, but we will record all of the information presented. Each person offering information will come to the podium to speak. Please state your name, address, and school district. Speak distinctly so that we can be sure that your information is recorded. The procedure is to hear from the proponents and opponents of each petition. The proponents, those people asking the school board to transfer the territory, will be heard first. Following the proponents, the opponents of the petition, those people who do not want the territory transferred, will be heard. Following the initial presentation by the proponents and opponents, there will be a short time allotted for rebuttal and summation by both sides, if warranted, in the same order. These rules will apply to all 4 petition hearings this evening. So I'll start off here. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on behalf of the petition to alter the school district boundaries for Dyack? Okay. If there's nobody here for that particular petition, then do we have somebody here for Major? Am I saying it right? Okay. No, that's okay. You're correct. Major, okay. Thank you. Okay, so let's see.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me like this?
Yeah.
Okay. My name's Rebecca Major. I live at 13310 West North Lane in New Berlin, Wisconsin. Good evening. I represent 58 New Berlin parcels seeking attachment to the New Berlin School District. Our neighborhood is geographically contiguous with New Berlin, municipally aligned, and already socially integrated into this community. We believe attachment would best support our children's educational welfare, safety, and long-term stability. Currently, there are 4 school-age children within our territory enrolled in the West Allis, West Milwaukee School District. Sorry, that's where we are right now. I forgot to say that in the beginning, so I apologize. they would be given the option to remain there if they choose. There are also several babies and toddlers in our neighborhood who would benefit from long-term continuity within this district, and hopefully my own someday, if I'm fortunate enough to become a mother. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
I kept it short and sweet.
Do we have anybody who is opposing this change in district boundaries who wants to speak? Okay. Let's see if there's anything else here. All right, if there's nothing else, then at this time, I will close public presentations on this particular petition and open to the school board questions. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Stay up here?
No, you don't have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You can sit down. Although unless somebody does have a question for you, you might have to come back up, so I'm sorry. It's been a while since we've done one of these. The only information presented hereafter will be on request of the school board members concerning the information received by them brought out in this meeting. So are there any questions or information that any board member would like answered or clarified?
Janet, before we move into that portion, I just do want to clarify that the administration does recommend approval of all of the petitions tonight. We've had the experience already of another petition that was actually approved. We were able to make that transition quite smoothly. We have capacity in our schools. We think we provide a good opportunity for those potential students and families. And as the petitioner mentioned, any families within that boundary are still allowed the opportunity to open enroll back to West Dallas, West Milwaukee. So again, we would recommend approval of all petitioners tonight.
Board members, any questions you have regarding this particular petition?
How many parcels was it again? 58.
58.
58.
So the parcels are included in the documents
Yeah, they're-
online?
Oh, there's,
Okay. Anything else before we move on to the next petition? All right, so then the proponents of the altering the district boundaries, Makosi?
Hi. That is actually one of our group members who's not here tonight. So my name is Emily Fierson, and I am at 13605 West Wilbur Drive in New Berlin. And we are part of the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. So tonight I'm representing a group of households in the city of New Berlin who are seeking to detach from the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District and attach to the New Berlin School District. Our petition includes 114 homes located west of 124th Street. We have received nearly 90% support from households within the proposed area, with 86% formally signing in favor of this effort. This reflects a strong and unified community voice. And this petition is about aligning the neighborhood geographically, academically, and socially within the community that we live. It reflects overwhelming local support, minimal adverse impact, and a clear benefit for our children. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anybody who wants to speak in opposition to this change? All right, then are there any questions from school board members?
how many school-age children are in that area? Do you know?
I'm not entirely sure. 21.
21, okay.
So it's two total, 58 plus 114 so far? Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's more to come.
Any other questions? All right, so then we will now consider the request to alter the district boundaries from Yella. So if you're obviously you're in favor of it, so.
Yes.
I'm guessing.
Thank you. She's passing out a map just for you to kind of have a bird's eye view of what we're addressing here. Well, good evening. I'm Steve Yell, residing at 13125 West Foxwood Drive in New Berlin. And I'm speaking on behalf of the 6 petitioners. Petition seeks to detach 6 properties from the West Dallas, by the way, I'm in the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District, that we're looking to detach from and attach to School District of New Berlin. Passed out was a map, and on the upper half is a broader view of the New Berlin School District boundary. The bottom half is more of a zoomed-in look. And as you can see, the 6 properties that are here, or that are pointed out by that blue arrow, are actually non-contiguous to the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. We do not, I can go 2 houses to the left, which is west, and I'm in New Berlin School District. I go 2 to the right, I'm in New Berlin School District. There's 6 houses in the middle. So we do not connect at all to West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. 100% of the property owners are petitioners, and we currently have no students, so it would not disrupt any transfers, any staffing, and so on. Road access, in fact, speaking of road, today at 3:30, your bus went past my house, just to point out how that kind of works. But road access, neighborhood layout, community orientation, all aligned with New Berlin rather than the broader West Dallas, West Milwaukee attendance area. The petition ensures the district boundaries reflect practical geographic alignment and neighborhood continuity. We met all the statutory requirements. Any future enrollment obviously would go to New Berlin. But in closing, this is a very narrowly scoped, petition in order to align with New Berlin based on the map that you're looking at. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody who wishes to speak in opposition to this change? And are there any more questions from the school board?
Board members, I do want to just mention a couple of other things. These boundaries were set many decades ago. Why was it set up that way? I cannot answer the question as to why there is a portion of New Berlin in the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District. Some of this does not make sense, as was mentioned, but I think or at least that's what I inferred, sorry. But that's not because of anything the school district of New Berlin has done. The other thing too is that when this change happened, how long ago now, Patrick? 3 years ago? That we had the actual detachment?
The last detachment?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
So 2 years ago. I've been here for almost 20 years, and there were detachment requests almost every year. And in most of those cases, they were denied. So the process is West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District gets an opportunity to have their residents be heard. We then have the opportunity for the residents to be heard. West Dallas, West Milwaukee makes their determination, which in the past they've denied all of them. We have always recommended them and been approved. But 2 years ago with that detachment, what happens is if we disagree with the West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District, then it gets sent to DPI. And then those folks that choose to petition can appeal West Dallas, West Milwaukee's decision to the DPI. So what happened the one time that, and again, of those others, I don't know how many actually appealed it to DPI. But the one 2 years ago, they did appeal it, and then the DPI overturned the West Dallas, West Milwaukee decision. Note that it also went to court. As you know, it went into the courts. It was challenged in the courts, but ultimately they were able to detach, and now those families and there's a lot of stuff that goes on behind the scenes for them to become part now of our school district. They're now part of our tax equation for, the state funding formula. Again, those kids have an opportunity to open enroll back to West Dallas, West Milwaukee, even though they are part of the school district of New Berlin. And, you know, as we look at all of the properties that are being proposed to you, Patrick, what is the total actual student impact from all the petitioners?
So according to the numbers, the students that are attending West Allis, West Milwaukee is, I believe, and of all the numbers I wrote down, that's not the one I wrote down. I think it's 12 students. There are more students or more children that live in that area that are spread out over multiple enrollments.
I think what we were, I think the number, Patrick, was around 20, that, you know, when you and I had talked of students that are in West Allis, West Milwaukee. There are others that actually go to parochial schools too, that are in there, but of the ones that, you know, would actually be currently enrolled at West Allis, West Milwaukee, we're looking at about 20. And those students would be, you know, you can't assume it's going to be 20 kindergartners. It's going to be spread across, you know, 4K all the way up through 12th grade.
Okay, so if there's nothing, no more questions, no more background information, then we'll move on to the agenda item E, which is to approve the resolution authorizing issuance of order in support of WAWM citizen petition to alter school district boundaries for Dyack.
I motion to approve the transfer of the territory described in the petition, that the reorganization request in the petition filed with the City of New Berlin on January 22nd, 2026 be granted, and a resolution authorizing issuance of an order altering school district boundary be approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Ms. Konick. Any discussion? Then hearing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. On to the next one.
I make a motion to approve the transfer of the major motion was the motion to approve the transfer of the territory described in the petition, that the reorganization requested in the petition filed with the City of New Berlin on January 14th, 2026 be granted, and a resolution authorizing issuance of an order altering school district boundaries be approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Ms. Konick. Any discussion? Then all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. On to the Makosi motion.
I motion to approve the transfer of the territory described in the petition, that the reorganization requested in the petition filed with the City of New Berlin on January 14th, 2026 be granted, and a resolution authorizing issuance of an order altering school district boundary be approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Ms. Konick. Any discussion? Then all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. And our last motion for Yell.
I motion to approve the transfer of the territory described in the petition, that the reorganization requested in the petition filed with the City of New Berlin on January 22nd, 2026 be granted, and a resolution authorizing issuance of an order altering school district boundaries be approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and a second by Ms. Konick. Any discussion? Then all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. And that concludes then our hearings and motions. Okay, so now we have our teaching and learning presentation for the winter screener.
So we have a cadence of sharing various data points, student achievement data with the school board. This happens to be our winter 2026 screening data.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having us to share our winter assessment results with you. My name is Matt Stepneski. I am the Director of Elementary Schools for our school district. And with me this evening is Kelly Kwiatkowski, our Secondary Director, and then Amanda Mazurkowitz, our Director of Student Services. So we've started the last couple of presentations with this slide, just reminding us, grounding us in the fact that we're getting students ready for graduation, but along the way we look at all of these assessment pieces when we're talking about each kid individually. So lots of data points to look at, but tonight we're just going to pull out a couple for you. And this, we show this one every time as well. We are identifying if our curriculum meets the needs of 80% of our kids. That's one of the reasons why we take this screener 3 times a year. We're also identifying students in the other 20% to determine what their needs are. Whether that is formal intervention, whether that is reteaching, strategic groups, essentially how we utilize our flex and our intervention times. It also gives us an idea if there's anything we should be doing differently in our Tier 1 curriculum. We've added some small group work. We're, of course, always looking at teacher practice and how effective that is as well. So focusing on elementary, kindergarten through 3rd grade takes Ames Web Plus. 2nd through 9th takes FastBridge. And so this is oral reading fluency. And so we just pulled out 3rd grade achievement on oral reading fluency. This is all students in 3rd grade at or above the 40th percentile. This is a 1-minute fluency probe. How many words correct can they read per minute? This year's 3rd graders, very high achievement compared to last year's. Different kids, of course, but some very high achievement there. We're also looking at A reading. So this is a test that the 3rd graders take. It's an adaptive test that the 3rd graders take. General reading skills. So it's fluency, but fluency in decoding, reading passages, but then responding to those. So general reading skills, answering questions about the passages, things like that. Kind of interesting. It's meeting the needs of, we have 78% of our kids, I guess, every year. So that's interesting that that's the same number. Again, we're hoping for 80% or higher, but we've been very consistent with our Tier 1 curriculum. Now, this is cohort data, so this is the same test. So these are 3rd graders from last year, now that are in 4th grade. And this is also, like we said, that A reading test, that general reading skills test that adapts as they get questions correct or incorrect. So all 3rd graders, again, the percent that are proficient at above the 40th percentile, and the majority of these kids are the same kids from year to year. And so we do have a little dip, a couple students that did not perform as well as they did last year, and so that's one of our areas of growth. Moving on to math, so this is all students, all 3rd grade students at or above the benchmark, which is 40th percentile, which is considered proficient. And so this year's 3rd graders not achieving as high as last year's. And so this is another area of growth, another data point that we have shared with principals who then share with their grade level teams to determine which kids are we talking about and then what do they need. And now these are the majority of the same kids. So this is cohort data. How these students performed last year in 3rd grade, 80% of them were proficient. And now this year, winter of their 4th grade year, 81% of them are proficient. But consistent numbers over the past couple years of the growth that they make from winter to winter. So now this is 3rd graders again, all 3rd graders. And this is math automaticity, so essentially math fact fluency. This is a timed test where students are doing math facts depending on their grade level, in this case 3rd grade. So this group did not achieve as high as last year's 3rd graders. Still at that 80%, we are pleased with that, but then we have to figure out what to do for the other 20% of those students. What kind of math fact fluency work do they need? Whether that's within the math block, whether that's as a part of intervention time. Teachers and administrators look at every student and how they're achieving. And here is cohort data. So math automaticity, so that math fact fluency, how they performed last year as 3rd graders in the winter compared to this year, very similar. Very high achievement there, 84% of the kids are fluent in their math facts. And so specifically, and a lot of these action steps are similar to kind of what secondary is going to speak to, but we point out oral reading fluency. We talked about the math, not as high as achievement as last year's 3rd graders. Of course, they are different kids, but still want to meet the needs of all kids. And the school-based teams look at these data sets from the fall. So they're comparing each student's winter score to growth they made or maybe didn't make from fall to winter. And they're looking at classroom performance. The kids that are in that 20%, as we saw, most, about 78% of the kids are achieving or at above the 40th or 80%, whatever the numbers you saw, the kids that are not, they've been progress monitored every week since the fall. And so we're looking at that data, like I said, along with classroom performance, because as we heard from Joe Schrader when he was here a couple weeks ago, that achievement is obviously very important, but then so is growth. And so we're looking at both of those. So tonight you saw a lot of achievement, you saw all achievement numbers, and then we threw in some of that cohort growth. But just know that we're looking fall to winter growth, because the ultimate goal would be to have those kids achieve and do really well in the spring. So what can we do? What have we done from fall to winter to get them there? And now what are we going to do from winter to spring?
All right, I'm here to talk a little bit about the secondary winter FastBridge scores, and we're going to start with a reading. A reading test is the most similar to our forward ELA test. And they take that, remember, fall, winter, spring. These are 7th grade students, and you can see that 78% hit benchmark this winter. When you look at the cohort, so last year 7th grade winter to this year 8th grade winter, they went from 73% to 77%. These are the same students. It's taking out any of the students who are new to us this year or who left us last year. For auto reading, it is one of the highest percentage on benchmark that we've seen in years, 86%. And I do want to say in both 7th grade and 8th grade, even though there's a dip that you can see from last year 7th graders to this year 8th graders, and they're still at 80%, we included a resource called Morpheme Magic. We noticed some of our students were low in morpheme, which is some of the basic foundational reading skills in 7th and 8th grade. So we added it into a routine within our middle school block almost every day to get them some extra practice on foundational skills, which will help them with reading comprehension and fluency. A math, pretty consistent, 80%. 7th to 8th grade cohort, we did see a decrease of percentage of benchmark. Automaticity, so like Matt said, this is fact fluency, it's timed, 87%. And I would say stagnation from 7th to 8th grade with a slight decline from 89 to 88% for fact fluency. The points of emphasis I want to talk about is reading. A reading are the highest they've been since 2022. The 7th to 8th grade cohort, A reading scores increased, the auto scores declined a bit, automaticity and A math decreased, and the 7th grade math achievement remained stagnant at about 80-81%. I do want to say that our school-based teams are using this data to figure out what to do with the students to help them achieve with those state accountability tests that are coming up in March and April for secondary, and also to help them keep growing through spring. So right now they're using what we call NixPath. It's our data analysis system that all of our teachers have access to understand where are their deficits within these assessments. How do they look different across the different sections of classes, like an English 7 or a Math 8? Who might be instructing better that you want to go look at and see how they're doing something, but then also to see what growth is happening from last year to this year and how those students performed last year at Forward compared to how they're doing in winter FastBridge. So there's a lot of different data possibilities. What's cool with NixPath is now that there's an AI component to it, so they'll give you suggestions to look at, and they'll look at like cross data sets, and it's able to give you information that it would take hours to do on your own. Any questions?
With that, like, does it show you kind of where they would hit on like ACTs or on the forward test?
The predictor, so FastBridge correlates with the advanced section, so not necessarily benchmark, but then there's like another section. So the students who are in advance are highly likely to hit the benchmark on the ACT assessment. So you are able to filter it within that, and we have found it is a true correlation. As close as you can get for students who hit that advanced and you keep going to ACT. Yeah, you want to use assessments and tools that are highly predictive.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Then we have the budget forecast presentation.
Okay, so you had this information in board books. What we are going to, oops, sorry. What we're going to do with the presentation tonight, our purpose is to provide a financial update, forecast scenarios for the next several years, and just to give you some information on the variables that will impact our finances over the next 5 years. Before we jump into the rest of the slides, to give you a little historical perspective, I came to the district in 2019, shortly after the district's first referendum since 2008 did not pass. Since that, there have been many, many financial decisions that have been made by the district, from changes in bus routing that ended up or resulted in a savings. There were some staffing reductions, including 3 people from my staff before I even got here.
And he still came.
If you remember the years during COVID and post-COVID when we had federal money that was a reimbursement for expenses, unlike what many other school districts in the area did, they spent that money. We knew what was coming, and since it was a reimbursement for dollars that we had already spent, we put those dollars back into our fund balance, again, knowing what was coming in the future. And then last year, we made a decision, and you approved a decision that moved a significant amount of money out of fund balance this year into our capital maintenance fund that will fund capital maintenance until 2030, but then that also gives us the ability to focus our dollars on the general fund and supporting education programming and not just the capital maintenance. So there are a few factors that I want to talk about as far as the financial forecasting goes. They all revolve around the state budgets. Or I should say most of them revolve around state budgets. Right now, we're in the second year of the biennial budget, which typically is a relatively stable year until this year. Right now, there is legislation pending, I don't believe it's been passed, hasn't gone to the governor's desk yet, but it could change special education funding for this year. The year, if you can remember in years past when I talked about the budget, I said we set our budget in October, even though we've been 3 months into the budget, and there still can be changes going throughout the year. Well, this is one of those years where we could have a change in special education funding for the year that we're currently in. They're also talking about general aid negotiations and revenue limit negotiations that all will have an impact on our future budgets. And the last big thing is enrollments. Average births in the New Berlin area, so we can pull birth records from Waukesha County for 53151. For the last 15 years, the average was 289 births per year in our zip code. The average births for the next 3 years is 279, minus 10, not a significant reduction. Another thing to understand is it is the trend in the school district of New Berlin that as classes age through the district, the percentage of students enrolled compared to their birth year has increased. And so, for example, where we may start with a year where there's 80 or 90% of the births that are enrolled in our school, by the time they're getting into 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, we have over 100% of the number of births for that year, which tells me that there are students that are moving into the district and attending New Berlin Public Schools. We've looked at the 4K numbers compared to those birth records, and from what we can surmise, we're going to have a consistent pool to draw from for 4K for the next several years. And finally, and I don't want to get too deep on this, but our district 3-year rolling average has been very stable. And so even if we were to have a dip in enrollment for a year, it wouldn't have a tremendous impact on the amount of funding that we get, because we're still benefiting from higher enrollment from the 2 years prior to that. So again, these are the two big variables that we can predict, but we have to essentially take what we get in September or October. A few other variables, and we had 4 presentations tonight. We have 4 detachment petitions, roughly 233 properties, and the number of, what I'm going to talk about, the number of actual children that are in those is anywhere from 55 to, I would say, 75. Not just the ones that are enrolled in West Allis, West Milwaukee. We've got students enrolled in parochial schools. We've got students that open enroll into other districts. We have a few students that are already coming to us, and so that could be a decent amount of students. Thankfully, not all in one grade, spread out over K through 12. There's also a proposed federal tax credit. This is a part of the great big beautiful bill where we could have, the school district of New Berlin could have access to dollars to reduce the costs for students that are 300% or below 300% of the local average household income. More to come on that.
Yeah, in my last board update, I did provide some of the specifics related to that federal tax credit. So we're certainly keeping an eye on that. Again, want to note that the first bullet point, that's a positive thing for our budget forecasting. The proposed federal tax credit is a positive thing for our budget forecasting.
Thank you. The last 2 are going to be the not so positive things, changes in subgroups and the supports that the subgroups need as we go through the years in the district. We could have an increase in enrollment of, for example, students with special needs. We could have an increase in enrollment in students that are English learners. That can have an impact on the expenses that we have to make to serve those students. And then finally, inflation versus affordability. Over the last 12 months, the rate of inflation has dropped. But inflation is not affordability. Inflation is how much prices are going up. And so when we had 8% inflation a few years ago, that didn't go away. And so we have affordability issues in many of the areas around the district. For example, one that's very new is related to the computers that we purchase for students in one-to-one. There's up to a 20 to 30% increase in those devices. Thankfully, I can report that Brandon, in our regular monthly meetings, talked with me about pre-purchasing, and we did so for the next year's computers, which resulted in about a $72,000 savings to the district. So we are planning ahead for those things, but affordability is going to continue to be an issue. So those are all of, or I shouldn't say all, but those are many of the variables that go into putting these forecasts together. And what we're going to present to you tonight are 3 different scenarios that the final product next year is probably going to land somewhere in betwixt all three of these particular forecasts. The first forecast, and I apologize for the small chart, but it is in your board packet. This is the best case scenario, and this would be a flat enrollment. What a flat enrollment means is the number of students that we have in kindergarten are the number of students that we have going forward. The number of students in 5th grade, that number just keeps rolling forward. And the number of students in 12th grade, that just keeps moving forward. I say this is the best case scenario, but it is what I would say it's unlikely for this to happen. We know that we have a large senior class. We know that we have a smaller kindergarten class, but this is usually the place where we start with our financial forecasting. This does include inflationary adjustments that are considered consistent with the Consumer Price Index of 2.63. And it also includes the sunsetting debt that will come at the end of 2030.
Yeah, just want to point out for those of you that are here, these presentations are actually attached when you look up the board meeting, they're attached there. So just note that you can find them there. And again, with the board, you may have to zoom in. We apologize for that.
So if you look at, again, when I say this is the best case scenario, if you look at the potential fund balance at the end of 2030, we're looking at over $20 million in fund balance. That would be more fund balance than we had prior to this year when we moved $6 million into our capital maintenance fund. So again, this is a best case scenario, but this is a place where we start. Are there any questions on this scenario before we move on? Okay, moving on. This is a rolled enrollment scenario. This is the worst, in my opinion, the worst case scenario where our kindergarten enrollment is going to set the numbers going forward. So, for example, this year we have 253 kindergartners. In a rolled enrollment, that is our new established baseline of kindergartners, and that 253 continues to populate through the grades. So you can see the difference between the final budget with a flat enrollment and the final budget with a rolled enrollment. Now, one of the things that this doesn't include is if our enrollment is truly going down like this, we are going to we're going to reduce staff as needed. Just like this last year, we reduced the number of kindergarten sections. This next year, we're hoping that we're going to be increasing those kindergarten sections again. But those things are very difficult to predict in these forecasts. I could literally spend all day, every day for months doing, putting all of this information in. It also, again, it includes the same inflationary adjustments and sunsetting debt. Any questions on the rolled enrollment?
The 2026 $6 million deficit, is that this current year or is that next year?
That's this current year. Fiscal 26 goes from July of 2025 through June of 2026. The last scenario that we have to present is, it's called a weighted average. This is enrollment based on the historical trends of the district. So out of all of these scenarios, I would say this scenario is the most likely to come to fruition, possibly somewhere between this and the rolled the rolled average. This does, again, contain the same inflationary adjustments, sunsetting debt, but what's important for you to understand is even though we have a little bit of fund balance at the end of next year, a small deficit the following year, those differences are easy, I would say they're good manageable differences as we manage the budget. We don't just let the budget happen to us. We work very hard to manage that from year to year. So in conclusion, I want to, again, applaud the board for making the choice to adopt the budget plan that was presented to you by the administration last year. That budget plan, we have every indication that it is working as it was projected last year. So that will benefit the district going forward. There will be, as Joe said earlier, there will be no room for program expansions over the next 3 years. You know, given our enrollment projections and the debt that we're paying off in there, it's going to be a tight budget for the next 3 years. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, and it is not the oncoming train. Our enrollment projections will be updated as numbers are made available to us. Right now, we are in the process, the students for next year, for this year, have been rolled into their new grade. And the building administrators are updating their enrollments with, as students enroll, new students enroll, and if students were to move out of the district. So it's constantly being updated. And then state budgets, hopefully we will continue to have, or I shouldn't say hopefully, we're going to continue to have unpredictable nuances with the state budget moving forward. But that's why you have the finance department that you have, so that we can manage those things. We don't just sit back and let them happen to us. So with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Yeah,
Joe?
just one thing I wanted to add to the second bullet point. Please know that we're not going to be hamstrung by a budget. If we need to do something, we will do something. The other thing, and what I mean by that is, we have, you know, since I've been here, we've experienced some tight budgets. We've figured things out and we've managed. I think that debt in the operating budget was the biggest piece, and now we have our plan is to get through that without issue. But we've always been able to make adjustments within our current budget. So it doesn't mean that we may not, like we may expand programs if we can adjust the budget in other ways. So for example, we're going to be looking at adjusting our library model in the future. And that's more details to come to our staff and to others. That does allow us to innovate a program, but also, you know, with that, we're making other adjustments to kind of free up other opportunities for whether it's staffing in a different area or programming in a different area, or seeking funds that are not actually coming from taxpayers or the state budget, that they're actually being fundraised for. Something that we also just kind of want to remind you of. So just note that while, you know, I think actually Patrick paints actually a really good picture. You know, when you read that second bullet point, you know, people may think, oh my God, you know, no, that's from his perspective with the budget, there's no room in the budget, but if we need to, we will make room. So just want to clarify that.
And this is not, these next 3 years are not going to be the first years where we have been faced with, you know, tight budgets. And I don't believe that Joe or I have said no to any reasonable request that has come to us through ELT, you know, since that failed referendum. Reasonable.
First of all, thank you for being our architect of reality. So you stated that we might fall somewhere between the three. So best case scenario, we're hoping for the first scenario, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I think the first scenario is one that is not going, that's the absolute best. And I don't think that we're going to have that flat enrollment going forward. And that's why the last scenario, I think, is probably the most likely. There may be some increases at, like I said, because enrollment it trends up as the, you know, a class goes through the grades. That can have a benefit to us. But I would say the last scenario is probably the most likely.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And if you look at that last scenario, Ron, I mean, that is still a very, very
It's-
positive outlook.
Yes, it is.
For the district.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
I have a question. So one of our costs is busing. So are you predicting that, or do we know busing costs for the next 3 or 4 years?
Oh, no. When we have a contracted increase, so increases are baked into this, not just salaries and benefits, utilities, transportation. You know, this is a very detailed and sophisticated budget plan. And so, for example, when I enter a salary and benefits increase in one area, it populates that behind the scenes. The general fund, it populates it to Fund 27, where all of the special education teachers' salaries are included. It populates it into Fund 50 for all the food service people. It populates it into Fund 80 for the folks that we have for, you know, for community services. So, yeah, we've made all those adjustments.
And how long is our bus contract through? Like how
The bus contract is for another 4 years, I believe. So we had a 5-year contract with them.
Any other questions? No? All right, thank you. We do not have any items from closed session, so next meeting, March 9th, and then another one on the 23rd and the 13th, all here in Conference Room E at 7 o'clock. Other important dates, March 13th, there's staff in service, no school. March 30th through April 3rd is spring break, there's no school. And April 10th is the end of the quarter. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. Sorry.
Okay, let's see who I'm gonna give it to. I have a motion by Mr. Seidel and second by Ms. Crosby to adjourn. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion passes. This meeting is adjourned.